When we think about superfoods, we usually think of something like kale, spinach, or broccoli. But what if I told you that the most powerful superfood for your brain isn't a food at all? Over the last several years, scientists have been taking a deeper look at how gratitude practices can affect our brain chemistry, and the results are pretty incredible. What they've found is that after just 3 weeks of doing daily gratitude practices, functional MRI scans were able to show actual physical changes in subjects' brains. Areas responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making showed significant increases in activity, and areas related to stress showed significant decreases in activity. Establishing a gratitude practice in your life can actually rewire neural pathways in your brain. To understand why this happens and how we can use it to our benefit, we first have to understand a little bit about the human mind. In our brain, we have something called a negativity bias. The human mind has a tendency to pay more attention to negative information than to positive information. Media outlets figured this out a long time ago. This is why news headlines are more often about negative events in the world than positive ones. Our brains are always on the lookout for something wrong. The issue is, even if no problem actually exists, our brains are programmed to assume the worst. Why does our brain do this? Well, millions of years ago, this was actually a good thing. When our ancestors were still living in a primitive world, the humans that assumed the worst were usually the ones that survived, and humans with a more optimistic outlook, well, they didn't. Over millions of years of selective survival, nature has literally geared our minds to focus on the bad parts of the world. The good news is, we can actually rewrite this bias, and that's where gratitude practices come in. Gratitude practices have been shown to physically alter the neural pathways in our brain and help us default to a positive bias instead of a negative one. Rewiring neural pathways in our brain is kind of like forging a trail in the woods. When you first start doing it, it's going to take a little bit of conscious effort. But as we continue to use this pathway instead of this one, it becomes easier for our brain to default to a positive bias and harder to default to a negative one. Essentially, what this means is that through practicing gratitude, you slowly train your brain to focus on the good things in life without you even trying. So how do we actually do an effective gratitude practice? Well, a lot of people get this part wrong. Grabbing a piece of paper and writing down 3 things you're grateful for is not a very effective way of rewiring our neural circuits. Our brains have a built-in BS detector called the anterior cingulate cortex. Essentially, your brain knows when you're lying to it. If you don't really feel grateful for the things you're writing on your list, the gratitude practice won't work. So when doing the practice, it's really important that you genuinely feel gratitude. The best way to do this is by using the story method. This involves sitting down and remembering a time in your life when you felt genuine gratitude. Maybe you were stuck on the side of the road and someone helped you call a tow truck. Or you needed a loan and your brother helped you out. Really put yourself in that position and remember the gratitude you felt during that experience. Reliving positive events causes your mind to enter a prosocial state, which releases serotonin, reduces stress, and lowers inflammation. To experience the positive benefits of this practice, you only need to do it for 1 to 3 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week. It's not about the amount of time, but the depth of the gratitude that you feel. Another great practice you can implement in your life is intentional positive biasing. The goal of this practice is to catch yourself whenever you feel your brain slipping into a negative bias. Maybe the barista gets your order wrong. Instead of getting frustrated, try feeling grateful for the fact that you can afford coffee. Or maybe you're stuck in traffic. Try feeling grateful for the fact that you're not walking. Anytime you feel your brain slipping towards a negativity bias, gently remind it to focus on the things that are going well. Gratitude practices are a superfood for our brains. And if we do them consistently, little by little, we train our mind to look on the bright side of life. It's easy for us to fall into the trap of the negativity bias and fixate on the things we want or don't have. But if you can remind yourself every now and then of all the good things that you do currently have in your life, it reinforces the positive bias in your brain and can have an incredible effect on your long-term physical and mental health. If you're grateful for our videos, consider subscribing. It's free, and it's an easy way to support our channel. Have a great day, and as always, keep learning.